folks. How you doing? I'm the Real Manos, and this is my partner here. Are you going by Deadpoolzilla again?
Nope. Deadpoolzilla is dead. It is Mr. Multiverse. From here on out, I have rebranded myself, but not in the new.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah. You're not going to change in 2 seconds. Like, oh no, Wally West. No, Barry. uh, let's see. So hey, welcome back to YouTube. It seems you were on Valere,
Yeah, yeah,
but I just found out Valere just kind of like bit the dust.
yeah. It sucks, and I hate that Blair up and died, and now I'm back here. Not by choice. Man.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah, not by
mhm.
choice.
I had a ch- yeah, I had a channel on Valera as well, and I briefly stopped posting because no one was watching the videos, and I thought, well, if nobody's going to watch my videos, I might as well do it on a bigger site like YouTube. And then in the last week or two, I was like, you know what? I've been a little hard on Valera. Maybe we should start posting again and try and build an audience there. And I discovered, like, oh, there is no Valera. It's like gone, and that's too bad. You were telling me before we started that their what do you call it? Their
Yeah, the
server,
server,
their
the people running
provider.
the servers up and quit on them apparently, and you know it's a bad sign when the people who run Twitter, who run Blair, go on their own Twitter page and go, "Hey, what's wrong with Blair?"
Yeah, that's not great. Shows a lack of communication. I can't speculate what happened. I mean, maybe they weren't getting paid, which is a classic problem with web
Yeah, it
service.
actually feel it
But
actually
that's
makes me
just
feel
me.
slightly better that I never got a partnership there because now I feel bad for all the people who did.
Oh yeah. Um, oh well, that's uh, that's how life goes, I guess. So hey, we're not talking about the destruction of Valere. We're talking about the Owl House, and uh, that's the Disney show that premiered earlier this year. And I haven't done any individual reviews. I was actually waiting until season one was finished before I do a spoiler cast. I'm still trying to figure out how I should do these comic review, excuse me, these animated series reviews, because I with Steven Universe I was doing them episode by episode, but now I've been thinking like maybe I should like do seasonal reviews. I'm still like not totally clear. I know I'm not going to be doing any fan theory episodes and speculations because I'm terrible at those, and sometimes those are just pulling shit out of thin air. So I'm not great at that, so I'm not going to do that. Besides, every time I did try to do a theory on anything, I was always 100% wrong, which I'm embarrassed by. So I'm not going to do that with this show. So, hey, we're going to be talking about season one of The Owl House. And before we get started, I just want to say that you can support this channel, The Real Manos, as well as Manos Publishing, at my Patreon. The link is below. It's starting at $1 a month. And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I think I'm still on Tumblr. I haven't totally given up on Tumblr yet. I'm not on Blair. That's kind of over. So look for me at those places. And of course, you can find Mr. Multiverse on his own YouTube channel. The link will also be below. All right, hey, let's get started talking about this thing. And let's see. I want to start with you. And what were your initial reactions to the show, and how did they compare to the end of the season?
I would say that I was always looking forward to this show because it was just so vastly different than any Disney show that had come before it. Like even Gravity Falls had like an inkling of like, okay, this is classic Disney, but as we all know, Gravity Falls is the most anti-Disney show ever. Uh, and Owl House is no different. Like it really I really have to take aback every so often. Go, oh, this is on Disney Channel, especially like when some really like almost Lovecraftian stuff happens.
Yes.
Um, and
I've been very surprised at some of their
yeah, like
violence.
when Ida straight up eats someone.
Yeah, you're talking about that puppet demon at the beginning of the
Like, you
season,
think he's going
right?
to be a recurring? No, yeah, Adagast, um, the demon from
Adagast,
episode 2.
yeah.
Yeah, she straight up eats him.
That's slightly disturbing too, because yeah, he had like shrunken down to a little like squiddy thing, but it was still sentient and it was still fearing for its life when she ate him.
Yeah,
So yeah,
you
that
think
was
he's going to be like a recurring villain.
nope. um, nope. He's just indigestion later.
And apparently,
So
according to one demon, apparently Ida's stomach is full of teeth. She's literally,
I don't know if that's true in her like humanoid form, but that's a disturbing notion, really.
like,
So how did you feel the show ended? Did you feel like the show delivered?
I feel like it delivered. This has probably been one of the best season finales I've seen in a show for a while.
Yeah.
Belos is a great villain. He is definitely going to be one of my favorite. And here's the thing: Disney TV villains have been really stepping up their A game more than the Disney movie villains because they've been actually prevalent.
True. That's true. I feel like the Disney film villains have kind of fallen into a trope. And we're just going to have to wait for that trope to kind of just naturally burn out. But a lot of the TV animated villains from Disney have been a little bit more versatile and a little bit kind of more stronger.
Yeah. Like you had like of course Bill, Coffee, Lord Dominator. And now you have Belos, who is this. I think we have a lot to talk about him when we get to him.
I think so. I think Belos is quite good. I had very high hopes for the show, just from the promotional art. Not even seeing a frame of film, and hearing the premise. It was kind of that Harry Potter worst witch premise, which is like, yeah, that's kind of hard to miss. It's a pretty classic trope. And it was exciting and cool that Disney was going in this direction. Dana Terrace was connected to Gravity Falls, so I was excited about that. So I had really high expectations, and it met them. Because they were kind of over the moon without even seeing anything. And I had the feeling, because a lot of the episodes were mostly episodic, with little bits dropped here and there, building a story. But mostly going pretty easy going. And I had a feeling it was going to follow what I've seen with some of the other recent Disney shows in the last few years. Is like, hey, everything's cute and fun until the season finale for the first season. Like, we get, boom, hit with like how dark of a story this might be heading in. And this definitely did achieve that with, I think, it was one episode, but it's kind of like a two-part episode, Agony of Witch, and then the final episode of the season, the Old Souls, I think it's called. Yeah, it was just really solid, where it definitely kind of raises the stakes for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I will also, and you're going to think and everyone watching this is going to be thinking heresy when I say this, but I think Owl House did something that Steven Universe failed
at. What's that?
Episode pacing.
Yeah, that's a complaint I hear that I will concede to.
You see, like, with episode pacing is that, and you can make the argument, oh, but Steven Universe only had 11 minutes, well, they get a whole episode. Yeah, but you can still do a lot in 11 minutes. And also, there's not a lot of filler. Like, even if it is a filler episode in Owl House, there's still, like, background stuff that connects with the story. That's one thing I feel like Steven Universe kind of lagged at, especially in the first 3 seasons, where it was like, okay, can we get back to the actual story? No? Okay.
I've talked to I've talked to a few people who can't get into it for the first season because of that. Like, they fault the pacing, and that's too bad. I have no trouble with the pacing because I was kind of raised on episodic TV shows, so I don't know. When I hear new fans complain about filler episodes, I'm like, whatever, man. I don't care. But this one really, I think, married the concepts. You can tell I'm older because I use the term episodic more than I use the term filler. I think filler is insulting, frankly. But yeah, they use a nice mix of episodic, and they kind of really slowly drip in the overall story. And I knew it was going to pay off. It was one of those things where this show seems really confident in what it's doing. So I was equally confident of where it was going to hit us, and it was going to saving it to the end, and it didn't fail. It didn't fail at that at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you want to get into like the characters right now, or would you? Is there anything you want to stick with on the season finale?
Well, I guess like for season finale is that, like I said, it was super satisfying, and it leaves like, okay, that it feels like stuff got resolved, but at the same time, it still feels like, okay, you left off with a lot of stuff that is gonna hopefully pay off in the next season, and yeah. So, also to your whole when we were talking about the whole magic thing, I love also how Owl House deconstructs the whole magical scenario. Like, it's just been one deconstruction after another, and it's also, I don't know what Dana Terrence has against Harry Potter. I mean, I get it, but she really hated Harry Potter because there's just one thing after another in Owl House. It's like, man, I understand J.K. Rowling is a horrible human being, but damn.
Well, there's been some minor criticisms of some of the things in the series, even before recent discoveries about Rowling. So it's kind of fun to watch. Like, I've been hearing complaints about the game Quidditch. I've been hearing people complain about Quidditch since it was brand new, since the first book and first movie. People going, well, why do they bother doing any of this other stuff? It's just the one thing that they need to do. And the Sorting Hat joke is great. Yeah, I love the fact that the show is very obviously falling into that territory, with a young character getting to join a witch school and stuff like that. We've seen it quite a bit. Even Charmed did this for a season. So I'm glad it's not trying to stay away from it. I'm glad it's kind of leaning in for a joke here and there. It's like, yeah, okay, we know we're doing Harry Potter stuff, so we're going to go hard on a couple of jokes. And they're not... Something I like about the Harry Potter jokes is the fact that it's not every episode. I feel like it took us over 10 episodes to get to a real solid specific joke. And then there was one other. So I'm happy that it wasn't just one episode after the other, which it could have easily have done if they were lazy, and they did not do that, which was thankful, because that would have gotten old pretty quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So do you want to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about let's talk about characters like Luz, for instance, and I really adore this character, and how she gets along with Ida and King, particularly. I think she's that. She is kind of a pretty standard optimistic type of character, but I think what I like is outside of that, she does seem to have already some, I don't want to say sassiness, but she does seem a little bit more street smart than she could have been portrayed. Like, she's not a total oblivious dummy walking in on this situation. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have a competent a competent protagonist, but at the same time still has a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and then also what I like is that when you see Lou's training, it's not like it's not mentioned in backstory. It's like, oh, I'm training, and you don't see it. Like, I like that. I like actually seeing the payoff. Looking at you, Dragon Ball Z.
There's this oh damn, I totally lost what I was gonna say. I had this whole train of thought I wanted to get into. What the hell was I about to say? You can continue as I try to pull this out of my memory.
Yeah, it is cool to see, Lou's only with 4 spells, she manages, by the end of the season, she clears house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and also...
Oh, that's what I'm...
No, I was just going to say, when Lou's, you clearly see how strong she is, but at the same time, like, when she goes against Bellows, it's like, I have a feeling he was just playing with you.
I suddenly remembered. She comes in really strong in the first episode of what she believes in. The whole episode, I feel like, is this kind of statement, like, this is her viewpoint, and we're going to spend the rest of the season, or maybe even series, challenging that, which I think is interesting, which is why I feel like I've heard some people go, man, they really overdid the theme in the first episode and the message of the first episode, and I think that was
the point.
Specifically, I feel like that was on purpose, because I mean, almost from the second episode, it's like, they go right into making fun of the chosen one trope, which is rather overdone, not just in fantasy, but in fiction, like all over. And like Star Wars, of course, deals in that and stuff like that. So it was kind of nice to, like, right out of the gate go, okay, what you kind of expect out of these kind of, like, concepts might not be accurate. And she even has, like, a line in the first episode where she mentions this may not be the PG fantasy world I expected. So, yeah, Luce, you got a whole series of feeling like that.
Yeah. That's what I really like about that, is that, we're seeing this deconstruction and of those tropes. And also, I think we're all sick of the chosen ones. And I'm pretty sure Dana Terrence is like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I really like that episode. The line Ida has in that episode. Like, if everyone thinks they're the chosen one, but like, if you wait to be chosen, you're gonna, just be waiting to wait forever. I think that's a really great message, and I don't think that's really done enough in all ages kids media, and it was just really nice to hear. Particularly from, like, this rebellious character. And I guess I want to talk next about Ida. And what are your impressions going in with Ida, and what do you think overall of Ida?
Well, she had very big step on me vibes, and that my attitude towards that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I clearly have a type. Anyway.
Yep.
Ida actually reminds me a lot, and I don't know, I mean, I know you're a Star Wars fan, but I don't know if you're familiar with this character named Kreia, she was a Sith Lord who had, like, these varying views of, like, there is no light or dark, it is just how you use it. It's a little more, like, that's the general idea of Kreia, is that, there is a light and dark, but it's only, the Force is kind of open to that. Like it's how you wield the Force. The Force is just is. That's how Ida views magic, really.
She, I really enjoy her because she is this person who was a rebel in her kind of middle age phase of her life, and of course, going into the show, we didn't know how old she is, but now she's like in her 40s. We've kind of discovered, which the curse has made her look a little bit older than she naturally is. And I really enjoy kind of like the older rebel character, and I've seen that a few times, and I always just absolutely adore it. That person who's never really totally grown up by choice, and I love that she is so into branding.
I love also that, and I'm still keeping the headcanon that she was married to Stan at one point.
Probably for a
Have
day.
you heard that thing, that video?
I've seen that video. I've heard that theory, and it's one I will accept until I'm told otherwise. Probably sometime in the 80s, I imagine, and it got old within a day, so that was kind of it. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoy that type of character a lot, and Wendy Malick plays her. And as soon as I heard she was going to be playing that character, I was like, oh, okay, I can definitely get into this because Wendy Malick I've been a big fan of her for years. She's a character actress that's been in a bunch of different things, and a fantastic voice actress. So it's like, okay, all right, I know what kind of style and what kind of vibe I'm going to get off this character. So instantly when I saw her, it's like, okay, this is probably going to be my favorite character in the show. And then we got King, who is voiced by Alex Hirsch, and he also voices Hootie, by the way. And, it was so... He was... Instantly, when I first saw that character, was like, man, they went really Pokemon on this design.
Yeah, they literally took two Pokemon. They took two Pokemon and spliced them together with King's design. Because I literally I know the two Pokemon right from the look that they took from. Like, I hate myself for knowing.
Yep. And you know what? I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that, because Pokemon has been with us a generation now, and those kids have grown up, become artists. So I feel like, I don't know, we're probably going to start seeing that influence kind of like drip into creature designs in animation and live action. I would not be surprised if we see more of that.
Also, can we talk about Hootie real quick? I never hated Hootie. And also, he's a monster. When you see him just clear house, pun intended, against all of the Emperor's cover, like he straight up, I think he killed them all.
That's what's so funny about the character. When I first seen with Hootie, I was like, oh, I don't know about this character, and then very quickly grew to love it. Mainly because that character is like the butt of everyone's jokes that no one respects. They all kind of dump on the character, and has this overly Mickey Mouse obnoxious voice, which is very funny. And then you slowly get to realize like how dangerous this character is, how powerful this character is, which is amazing. And I don't think they've really dipped to. I mean, the character is the house. Like, in one episode where the walls seem to be breathing, I think that's Hootie. I think, when it got up and started walking, that's Hootie. I mean, I don't know. And they've referred to it as a house demon, so I'm not sure of all the specifics about that thing. And I kind of enjoy the dangerous mystery about this character and this ridiculous voice and terrible, annoyingly personality. It's really fun.
What's also interesting is that there's been a few hints, like, Ida didn't make Hootie, she found him. and she
Yeah.
trained him apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking, I already like the
Um.
moment I saw Hootie like all happy he is and like everyone like dumps on him and at the same time love him. I'm like, oh, he's gonna have a really sad backstory, isn't he? Did you ever
I
watch
just can't
Wild
get enough.
Thornberries?
Wild Thornberries? No,
Okay,
that was
so
never my
this
show.
is why I kind of think Hootie's going to go in the direction of a sad backstory, is because there was a character in Wild Thornberries named Donnie, and Donnie was this really annoying like wild kid because he was raised in the jungle until the family found him, and it turns out that he was an
Yeah.
infant living in Sumatra, living with a family of orangutans after his parents were brutally murdered by poachers.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. When I saw that character. I was like, yeah, that's probably got a Tarzan backstory
Yeah,
for that kid.
but yeah,
So,
I think that's where the direction we're. That's why I was kind of thinking Hootie's probably going to have a really messed up backstory. We're all going to be like, okay, we forgive you, Hootie.
but let's see. And then, of course, we got Willow and Gus, who I tend to. They're almost always together, so I tend to think of them together. Um, and I gotta say, they do kind of like fill those placeholders of like friend characters of Harry Potter type of like mythology. Um, I have to say something about Willow that I find interesting is she has like an anger to her, which I thought I was somewhat cut off guard with because she kind of came across in as an introduction as kind of the nerdy character that doesn't get paid attention to enough, and very quickly I noticed like yeah there's like a boiling anger in there, which I thought was I don't normally see that with that kind of character, or at least addressed.
Yeah, I'm good. It
Oh,
was
you
just a
okay?
notification.
Okay. Um, I don't really see that too often, and I like that angle a lot. I like seeing the passionate anger of like this nerd character, which I'd like to see where
Yeah.
that goes. With Gus, he's adorable. He's gonna be your best friend right there in the lurch. Kind of dependable character. I have no idea what they're gonna do with him. I don't know if they're gonna develop him any further than he needs to be. I'd like to see them kind of cut more into the character. But as of right now, he's a fun, likable
Oh
side
yeah,
character.
I'm really hoping like his. I really want to see more like the thing. One of the things I love about Willow, like you said with Willow and Gus, is that um, of how they play off of those character tropes. Whereas you could say, oh, Willow's like Hermione. I'm like, no, Hermione never really had that boiling rage kind of thing. And I'm not even a Harry Potter fan. I just have friends who were, and I kind of leaped off of it. Um, but that's what I like, especially in that inner Willow storyline. Like, man, her voice actress is just giving it all in that, just tearing into him part.
I was I was surprised who plays her. I just found out last week. Like I was looking at IMDb, and it's like, what? Wait, wait, the girl from Sabrina plays her. Prudence.
Um, yeah, that took me aback too. And also, I love characters who can use illusions and plant-based powers. So, that is a double check mark for both characters.
Yeah. Gus's illusion power is going to come in handy. I mean, that's a really good. I mean, plant we've seen, since Poison Ivy.
Yes.
What
So
that can do,
what I love is that Luz literally has Swamp Thing and Mysterio having her back.
pretty much, yeah. Let's see, she's got them taken care of, and then of course we get to Amity, who I think turned out to be the surprise character of the season.
Yeah, for several reasons.
Yes, and of course, immediately she checks off the list of antagonists, and like, look, like Harry Potter and the Worst Witch and Little Witch Academia all have a kind of like a blonde antagonist, in this case, green-haired antagonist, who's the good student and kind of bullies, but they very quickly veered off that within a couple episodes, which at first I thought, oh, okay, I had a feeling she, from the imagery in the intro, I was like, okay, she's probably going to be the more moody friend, and then I realized, oh, she's kind of the antagonist bully character, and then they hit me again with them becoming more friends pretty instantly, and I was like, okay, I kind of got an idea, and then we developed this idea that she develops a crush on Luce, so she's possibly, because Luce is bisexual, she's possibly like the love interest of this show. It's like I completely caught off guard with how they introduced and developed this character for this season. I mean, I'm really impressed with it.
Yeah. Now, I will say with a caveat to that, to Luz and Amity's hopeful relationship, I want to see it done, not as the end game final episode. I want to see it develop, because I am so sick of just every form of animation and live action doing this in shows where it's like, oh, it's the end game, it's the final episode, yay, aren't you glad we got all this payoff? I'm like, no, the payoff is seeing a healthy relationship form in a show.
Well, I mean, to be honest, writers don't seem to know how to write relationships in any form. It's always bad. I say,
we've gotten this before in animation. Like, look at Luna and Sam in Loud House, and look at Kim and Ron in the final season of Kim Possible. We had a whole season dedicated to their relationship, and
Correct.
I think that like Disney, you have a chance to actually do like a same-sex relationship in animation and have like, hey, we did this as a whole season instead of an game. Aren't we?
Yeah.
Take that, everybody else.
Well, this would be a nice chance for Disney to not only catch up, maybe jump ahead, because now let's forget about the films, because that's also been a problem with Disney, but let's specifically talk about the TV animation, where they've been clearly behind Nickelodeon and it's very much behind Cartoon Network, who I think took the lead with this. I think Nickelodeon really kind of got it started with Korra, but like then Cartoon Network had like Steven Universe and Adventure Time, and even some of their like smaller shows like Clarence and so on and so forth. We're having a lot of like progression in this field, and Disney was not. Disney was like very hesitant, which is to me kind of funny. It's like, you own everything. What are you afraid of? You can take a risk.
You are literally the biggest of these entertainment companies right now, Disney. You could have gotten the inside track from the get-go.
I know. Fortunately, because of the heavy lifting that's gone on prior to this, from Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and stuff like that, I feel like that's given, and even tidbits in like Star versus the Forces of Evil and how much Gravity Falls tried, I think we're going to see that pay off. We're already seeing it with Willow's dads, and like full-fledged acknowledgement in the fact that and Luce is bisexual, and she's not really the first Disney lead. I mean, Star was also bisexual, but that was very very subtly done here and there. Like, you could easily, you're right, you could blink and you miss it very easily. This one's a little bit more in your face about it, and Dana Terrace has like gone on to acknowledge publicly, not only is Luce bisexual, but like Amity is completely gay. She's like not bisexual. She's a lesbian, and I'm very interested to see how this goes because I know some fans have been making fun of how oblivious Luce is to this, and I guess I'll bring it up here is like the way I see this tracking is that Amity was like once she acknowledged that Luce was a person like herself and equal to herself, like in convention, I think, like that, and kind of like she became more and more fascinated with her, maybe not understanding, and I think Lost in Language, I think, kind of developed that, where she kind of like started to figure her out, and that's when she kind of like started getting like interested in her. And then, of course, after the Grom Night episode where they dance, that was when she went full on. Like, okay, I am seriously in love with this person. I'm more happy dance fighting with monsters with her than I've ever been. And that's, where we get to, like, the end of the season, where we went from this character who was, like, the bully character, and then at the end, she's, like, so infatuated with Luce, she can barely talk in front of her, which is endearing character development. Character arc.
I actually I love that.
And I didn't get to finish my point. I'm sorry. And then we go to Luce, who, she's 14, and I don't think she's figured. I don't know if she has figured out if she's bisexual or not. I feel like maybe she's like got an inkling. Maybe she hasn't really dealt with it at first. Dealt with it completely. Like, maybe this is who I am. Yeah, I've known people in their 30s who have taken like that long to go, oh wait, maybe is that what I am? Okay. She's 14, so I feel like fans have been like a little bit hard on her. Like, come on, like, give her a break. She's still figuring out this magic stuff, for God's sakes. And so I think like she's not gonna go, well, obviously, Amity's into me, so yeah. I think she's still trying to figure things out. I am confident she will. Dana Terrace has made it clear that that's not the overall point of the show, in comparison to She-Ra, which that was like the main focus. Like everything kind of like spun off of the main relationship in that show, where this is part of the show but not the main focus, which I think will also give her permission from the suits at Disney to pursue this. So that's kind of what I want to say on that. I think she will figure it out. It's just this is whole. I don't think she's completely figured out who she is yet.
So which going back to like when we were talking about Disney and how it's lagged behind the progression. Did you see that poster they made with them? And it was like the moment of, well, we didn't want to do this, but I guess we're here now, and there's no going back.
Yep. Yeah. And Alex Hirsch made a comparative posting because he was told completely he couldn't have two background characters kiss that were same sex. They were like, we won't even air it, and it wasn't even a big part of the show.
Yeah, I think.
And now, just what 5 years later, which I guess as you think about it, is kind of, Korra was like 6 years ago, and look how much has changed since then.
Yeah, and yeah, that is funny. And also, what you're going about, Lou's, still trying to figure herself out, is like, I think like an inkling of how she's managed to figure herself out is like, look at how she reacted to Amity's twins.
Yeah, I think the twins know. I'm not totally quite sure what the twins' relationship with the rest of the family is. I'm not sure if they've just opted out of the evil and are hoping that maybe they can bring Amity along, because I feel like she's kind of their parents' focus. Like, hey, we know this one can really do the evil.
Yeah.
So we're going to push her. And I get the feeling like they're trying to politely, quietly wave her out of that. At least that's the vibe I'm getting now after the season's
like
over.
the other thing with them is that it's actually kind of funny. When I first heard like what was it, Emra, like say we call Luz cutie, I was like, wait a minute, I got to rewind that real quick.
Oh, yeah. They both refer to her as cutie or something like that, and she blushes for each one. And that's definitely something I noticed first off.
I was like, because I literally was like, wait, I had to rewind twice just to be like, I heard that right? But yeah, so yeah, but I guess for our next list of characters, do you want to talk about Lilith next before we move on to?
Oh yeah, to Belos. Yeah, let's talk about Lilith quite a bit. What do you have on Lilith?
I would say that I really like her character progression of where we've gone from antagonist to you can still see where she's going, and then everyone in Agony of the Witch wanted her dead.
Which was well earned, I felt. It's really early in the series, so we have enough time to like properly develop the character and redeem the character and have the character go through an arc. Unlike Moon Butterfly in Star, which like that was like literally at the tail end. So we didn't really get enough good proper development of that.
Still,
to lead us with a good taste in our mouth about the character.
How they instantly revoke all of the character development for Moon in that last few episodes.
Yeah, I'm still like, yeah, she's one of the villains as far as I'm concerned on that show. But I'm very curious to see where we go, because I had a feeling, just from the information they gave us up until the last episode, like I knew instantly she was the one who cursed Ida. It's funny, some people were surprised by that. It's like, I thought that was kind of obvious they were leading that way, but
against it because I was like, that's a little too obvious. But then you look at the other theories that people was like, oh, maybe it was Luz's mother who cursed Ida. I was like, okay, maybe these are stupid.
Has to be a character in the show. It's not fair. It's not fair to give us somebody who hasn't been in the show. Excuse me. I think the good thing is, like, yeah, it's obvious who did it to me, but it's not obvious about the motives and the details concerning it. Like she thought it was just going to be a day. She didn't think it was going to be that bad. It's possible that the curse would sabotage. I've seen an interesting theory that Amity's parents, the Blights, mucked with it because they're in the crowd, smiling as if they know something. So I've heard that theory go on, like they did something, which I would not be surprised at this point. So we'll see where she goes from here, because I mean, she put all her chips into this Belos thing and the Emperor's Coven thing, and that's done. So what is she going to do next?
Yeah, it's and I also like that it's left open to a path that, yeah, I doubt Ida's just going to instantly forgive Lilith.
Yeah, that's going to take a minute. I can 100% see the other characters bust on her, like, for the entirety of season 2.
And I don't even know if Lilith's going to stay in the Owl House. Maybe she'll just be like, I'm going to bounce because it's a little too uncomfortable here.
True. I don't know. It could go either way. She could stay with them in the Owl House and join as a fourth, or occasionally come back. And I probably see them doing that, like when Stan's brother became part of the cast. Like, he wasn't there like all the time. so not to break up the dynamic. So I assume that's what they're going to do with Lilith. Although I could be surprised.
Yeah. I Yeah, I really dig that. I think where it's going to go is that probably going to be like 1 or 2 episodes where she's living with them, and like, oh, it's way too awkward to be around, and it's like it's too confrontational to be around Ida. And she's like, look, I'm gonna step out for a while.
Yeah, like I know you didn't mean to destroy me, but you kind of did. And here's the thing: she could have like shared the curse at any point during the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, like I really hope Ida brings that up. Was like, oh, you're doing this now, okay. I also I really
Well,
want to
granted,
see.
yeah. Well, granted.
I was just
I'm
going to say,
sorry.
I really want to see Lilith's monster form now.
Oh yeah. Well, we're definitely going to see that in the second season. It'll probably be more. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more Raven-like, because that's kind of her theme.
How much of that is going to be a
But
reference to Howl's Moving Castle with the monster form?
yeah, we'll see. Well, there is a bit. I mean, they dedicate an episode to Howl's Moving Castle, and like, oh look, all animators love Ghibli stuff. Like, they're all dorks for it. So, yeah, don't be surprised if we see more of that in this. And that's one of the things I like so much about the show is they didn't. They're mining a direction that we've seen with Harry Potter, but it's very not just Disney Harry Potter. There's a lot of obvious influences. Yeah, there's Gravity Falls. There's Ghibli stuff. There is Bosch paintings. The painter Bosch has been an influence on this. So it's, and I'm sure there's probably some influences that we're not privy to, but that's one of the strongest things about the show. Is it definitely does have a voice of its own, in spite of it very easily have not have been. Hey, I'm going to cut to Emperor Bellis now.
Okay.
Because I feel like you've had some stuff you wanted to say about Bellis, so let's go.
So I guess like with Bellows is that what I like is that he's kind of like the Emperor in Star Wars, where you don't see a lot of him throughout most of the trilogy, and then when you see him, you're like, oh, that's why people are scared of him. And
Yes.
he's such a villain who, obviously, so many rumors. I personally believe that he is like Luz in that he's a human who found his way to Earth, and because obviously his reign has only been 50 years.
Yeah, but 50 years is a long time for a person.
Yeah. So maybe the magic is, you see him draining the talismans, so maybe it's giving him eternal life, but at the same time it's corrupting him, like it's making him sick. It's like a drug addiction.
Well, yeah, and he's in this endless cycle now. It's like, he is, he's getting older. Who knows how old he was 50 years ago? And so he's been prolonging his life as best he can. I do like the Bellows as a human theory quite a bit, because it does kind of bring things full circle, where like a human ruined this world, and it's a human that will, correct the mistakes. I don't know. I kind of like the synchronicity of that.
Yeah. Now, we do know that Bellows isn't going to invade the world, because even he said, I don't want to do that. Now I got two theories to what he wants to do with the door. The first one is, I think he's going to use the door to drain the life force out of Earth to resurrect the Titan. And the other one is, he always talks about this Day of Unity, and I think what he's planning to do is merge Earth with the Boiling Isles and bring like a unity between the two.
Yeah. That makes sense. I've been thinking that too, which is kind of funny, because that's how they ended Star versus the Forces of Evil, and it was treated as a good thing.
Oh, this is a
this it's treated as a bad thing.
yeah.
So that makes sense. I am really fascinated with the potential plans he has, because they up front told us he's not conquering Earth.
Yeah, and also like
which I think makes it more provocative, really, because because taking over Earth is the obvious evil villain plan. So this one's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
well, yeah, and the other thing is you see his staff doesn't need to have like a talisman or whatever. He can generate his own magic by himself, and does give credence to, well, you see him draining the life force out of magic, and yeah, it's giving him great power, but at what cost? And it also
True.
makes me wonder of like, is his connection to the Titan real, or is it all like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain?
I don't know. That's a good question, because they played it purposely vague, where he could be like a con artist, like hey, I've been talking to God, and he says I can do this, and or I mean, he could very well be connected and also lie. Just because the Titan tells him something doesn't mean he has to do it or tell people that's what he said. So, yeah, right now anything's possible. Which the main possibilities, either choice seem exciting to me. Also, I keep thinking, ever since he like tore open a palisman and sucked its energy, makes me think that's probably what Bat Queen is doing. She's protecting the talismans from him.
I got a bad feeling that he's going to kill her at some point in the show. I mean, he's going to maybe try. I don't know. There will be a confrontation. Oh yeah, they're on a collision course.
Yeah. And it's not wackiness.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, okay, that's what she's doing. That's what she's protecting. And, I'm still, I still subscribe to the theory that she was possibly, the talisman of the Titan itself. I know she's really small to be that, but I don't know. I still think it's possible.
Yeah. I also am interested to see like where, how far Belos is willing to go to retain his power. Like, how long until he starts destroying the trees that make the talismans to consume their energy?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. That is kind of a Fire Lord move. So
he's very he's also like a very Fire Lord Ozai, just less like he's hiding the crazy right
now. Yeah. And also how smooth he is, and how like subtle and soft spoken he is. I think that's a nice contradiction to a lot of the characters in the show, which are geared towards being more over the top and eccentric and funny, and he is not.
Yeah.
I think that's a good choice, because this show leans towards being a comedy first, and I like the idea of making your villain not a comedy character. Like no, he's playing it straight.
Oh yeah, it's very much like Full Prime. And I like that. Like I said, he is clearly not even using a fraction of his power when he's fighting Luz.
Oh yeah.
Because it's very like, even when Luz got a lucky shot on him, he's like, okay, okay, I let you have that one.
He also seems patient too. I like soft spoken patient villains. There's something more intimidating about them than characters that are just like screaming and shooting back and forth like it's like no, like they know something.
He clearly is like 5 steps ahead of everybody else. The one thing he
Correct.
didn't
Yes.
account for was Luz blowing up the door.
True. Yeah. Well, I think both him and Lilith vastly underestimated her, which right now is a advantage she has. Like, she's a human. They look down on. Like, hey, they might be suitable for eating. We don't know. Can we eat these things?
I doubt he's going to do the same thing twice. Like, the next time, like, he goes to fix he's just going to beat the crap out of her.
Possibly. And then we have that other character that we only got a glimpse of in the background of the last episode that I feel like we'll be seeing a lot more of them.
And I know we didn't talk about a lot about this, but I love the mother-daughter relationship between Ida and Luz.
Oh yeah, we didn't really get into that, and I loved how that developed naturally. Like, at first she was like, "Oh, I guess I'll take care of this kid for a few weeks," and they very, very quickly bonded. And it wasn't like a aha moment. It was a lot of what this show has done is like very, kind of very subtly, developed in small ways, and the end of the season where it looked like Ida was done for. She was, it was extremely touching the way she was able to let go of Luz for protecting her. And holy shit, we didn't even talk about the lingering mystery of the letters that Luz's mother is getting.
I am 70% sure it's King, because you see how bad the words are and like how it's. I'm like, oh my god, this is King.
I don't know where, because like who could send them? Like the Emperor can't even like cross the boundaries. So who's doing it? And I don't know. I don't. I'm just really. I'm intrigued by it, and I'm glad they didn't even revisit it at the end of the season. Like, no, they just dropped it once. Like, hey, there's a thing that's happening. All right, back to our show. So I'm very, very curious to see where that goes.
And now with the door gone, there's no way to send those letters, because it had to be either Ida or King. I'm leaning towards King because of just how, Ida would have made her speak like a normal human being, but you clearly see, like, I am having a normal place at this normal camp, and Luz's name is crossed. It was like, this is King.
Possibly, yeah. Either it's someone we haven't met yet that has access to portals, although what their motivations would be, I couldn't even guess. Or someone like King, and now the portal is gone. So, with those letters gone, Mom was going to be very curious where her kid is.
You can still contact her through the text messages.
But can she? Can she still? She was able to use the phone because Ida was able to use the door. So I don't know if she'll even get the text messages now.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty sure of like how it may go down is that, her mom, Luz's mom, is going to be like, "Hey, honey, I'm glad we're still talking, but why did you stop sending letters?" And Luz would be like, "Letters." And then she's going to be like, "Hey, funny story. My mom said something about sending letters. You guys wouldn't have to know about that, would you?" And one of them's going to break. So it cause a bit of friction in the...
Yeah. I think she's probably going to contact the camp and go, and they're going to tell her, like, she never came.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And I don't know how she'd be able to, find Luz, but who knows with Emperor Bellis building a portal. I don't know if he's going to come looking for her. I don't know. So there's kind of this season ends very well because it has a bunch of cool plot threads that I can't easily predict where they're going to head. So I'm intrigued by just about all of them, really. Like, the main plot, the letters, the loose amity relationship, and a couple others. King, we haven't even really talked about the mystery of King. Like, is he really the former king of demons, or is he delusional?
Yes, King isn't really his real name. Remember that. He calls himself King.
Yeah.
It's not his real name.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's Bill Cipher, theorists.
And then, of course, there's that theory that he is a reincarnation of the Titan of some sort. So, yeah, or he could be maybe another Titan. I don't know. I'd also be interested to see more of this dimension. Like, the Boiling Isles is one place. It's one country. Like, are there other countries in this world? Is Amphibia in this world?
We talk about Amphibia at some point. Just throwing that out there.
How bad? Well, they could easily do that. But, like, how badass would it be if that's the same dimension? It's just like there's the continent of Amphibia, and there's the country of the Boiling Isles, and they've never met.
I'm 90% sure we are gonna get an Amphibia Owl House crossover at some point. There is no way Disney would not put that up.
Yeah, unlike Gravity Falls, the character designs are more similar. They all have 5 fingers instead of like multiple choice like Gravity Falls did. So that's an easier transition. So we'll see.
And again,
they probably won't, but
yeah.
Who knows?
Also, FYI, I love Amphibia. I love that. I like that show, and I don't get to talk about it that often.
Yeah, it is kind of in the shadow of this show, even before Owl House premiered. I remember watching Amphibia because, like, Owl House isn't here yet. I guess I'll watch Amphibia. And to my surprise, like, very quickly fell in love with that show. That's an equally great show. And maybe I'll talk about that in the future more on this channel because we're still in the middle of season 2.
I think my line so far, just because like how random and cute and funny it is like when Hop Pop yells, "That's my granddaughter and my adopted granddaughter."
That show, out of the 2 shows, I would say Amphibia is probably the funnier of the 2 shows. The comedy writing is a little bit tighter. I think probably because the focus is more on that. And also it might have something to do with Brenda Song as the lead. I feel like she just inspires a little bit more comedy because I think that's what she really excels at.
And
but I don't know. It's
did
just
you see the episode where Kermit guest starred?
Yes, that was great. They did a recent episode where Anne and Polly are shopping for tails, and they just start going tails, and they like go into the store chanting that, and the salesperson joins them, and I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. I don't know. It's just it's just really strong comedy writing, and I really enjoyed it a lot. So hey, let's wrap up here. I guess, as you can probably tell from listening to us, we really enjoyed this series and this first season. I think they knocked it out of the park. And they had, like, created, like, very high expectations. A lot of people were, like, stoked for this show, and I do not think they disappointed at all. I think they either exceeded, or at the very least, the worst you could say is they met expectations, which, considering how high they were, it's pretty high praise. So I really enjoyed this season a lot. I would definitely give it a 5 out of 5. RAM chips for me. And do you have any final thoughts on
Why you gotta make us wait for season 2, Disney?
Yep, let's do it. All right. Hey, I'm the Real Manos. Like I said before, you can support this channel and Manos Publishing at Patreon. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And let's see, my friend here, Mr. Multiverse, is back on YouTube. And you can find him. Is your channel called Mr. Multiverse?
Oh,
or
yeah,
is it still Deadpool
totally
Zilla?
rebranded.
Oh, great. He is rebranded for you, ladies and gentlemen. So find Mr. Multiverse over there. I frankly, I'll be honest with you, I do like the name Mr. Multiverse a little bit better because Deadpoolzilla suggests you only just talk about Deadpool and Godzilla.
I think I told you the story of, like, I chose that name right out of the top of my head. Like, it just sounded cool, and it just followed me around like a bad tramp stamp.
Yeah. You did tell me that, yeah. Multiverse, like, well, I mean, geez, that's a bunch of stuff, so you can talk about anything. So go check him out. Actually, you probably watch him more than me, according to my algorithms. So I'm glad that you came over here to listen to my stuff. All right. Anyway, we're going to get going. Thank you so much, as always, joining me.
No problem.
All right, and we're going to get out of here. Until next time, take care.
Really, no mice.